Welcome everyone to Color Commentary. We are your pauper commentators, Michael Petchik and Adrian Gonzalez. How's it going, Adrian?
Pretty good, Mike.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
We've been having a good day. We had a rowdy conversation just a moment ago, but
I think we're gonna keep it pretty loose for the real show too, Mike. I think we're doing it live today.
Yeah, so this is the 3-year anniversary of the show. Give or take.
Our show can vote.
That's Sir, you have both a poor understanding of time and voting laws. All right, so we're going to take care of the upkeep stuff, and then we're just going to kind of have a reprisal of last year. Last year, for our anniversary show, we did a back and forth, sort of asking one another questions, putting a little bit more of us, the hosts, out there for y'all to experience and get to know us and have a good time. So a little bit more laid back, very much sort of pulled back from the usual quantity of Magic discussion we have. But
yeah, I think fair warning, today is not going to be a lot about Magic. So if you don't really want to get to know us better, that doesn't interest you, I just want to put a disclaimer here at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair to get out there because, your podcast doesn't turn 3 every week, right? All right, let's take care of upkeep stuff. What do you have for us, Adrian?
Well, we've got that Patreon for just $1 an episode. You can hear the pre and post show. My script is going to be kind of funny here, which is not actually about Magic and more just us hanging out, as well as get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord channel. Well, today you're going to get some of that content for free, buddy. What do you have for us, Mike?
We are also brought to you in part by Hipsters of the Coast. They are a Magic content hub. They've got a variety of articles and podcasts for all sorts of different Magic formats. So if you're looking for a little bit more Magic in your life, I know we all are, go over there, check them out, read some articles, listen to some podcasts, and check them out on social media. Give them a like, support them because they help support us. All right, Adrian. This is our annual getting to know one another episode. Do you want to ask me something first, or should I ask you something first?
I just want to say, Mike, that these questions, I don't have to read all of them. We can let the conversation organically flow. So with that being said, why don't you ask me something first, because mine are kind of lame.
Oh, okay. So to start things off, we have joked a lot on the show about our music tastes. Do you legitimately pretty much just listen to metal and occasional video game soundtracks? Or is that jokey, this is the music that I would like to be known for? Like, how much of that is true to life?
Oh, it's 100% true to life. So, all right, maybe not 100%. I definitely listen to metal more than anything else. I actually have a music question here for you also. But I've been listening to a lot of The Hunchback of Notre Dame lately. I saw it over the weekend, and I really like that soundtrack. I saw it live. I saw a musical, a stage musical. The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Is there a stage musical version that is different from the Disney version? Because if so,
yes.
You've already gone beyond my musical knowledge.
Well, yes and no. It is based on both the original book more heavily, meaning Quasimodo and Esmeralda die at the end. It's true to the book, but it is based on the Disney music, but it has more songs than the Disney movie. So there are songs from the Disney movie in this musical, but the plot follows the book a lot closer.
Okay. That now makes a little bit more sense. So I guess kind of as a follow-up question, what is the thing with that out of the way? So you mostly listen to metal and video game music. What is the strangest thing that's in your rotation? The most sort of out of character music in your rotation?
I just told you about The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Is that it?
Sorry, thinking. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I like Blink-182 a lot. I like punk a lot. I mean, if you can call Blink-182 punk. So I like stuff like that a whole bunch. But yeah, mostly it's just The Misfits, Guar, Rammstein. Rammstein's new single is really good, by the way. Radio, if you haven't listened to it, super duper duper good song. The new album comes out on the 17th.
All right, I guess I'm kind of shocked. I kind of figured there'd be something a little bit more spicy in there, but you never know.
I got Fat Lip.
Like that.
Yep.
The song from the 90s or mid 2000s.
Yeah, the Sum 41 song, Fat Lip.
All right.
I don't want to waste my time. I like that song a lot.
All right.
But I would still lump that into like the
pop punk,
the pop punk sort of genre. Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's a thing that you might find interesting, Mike. I love metal versions of pop songs.
No, that tracks. I can see it. I think you've sent me some of those in the past, in fact.
They're good. If anyone wants, just at me. I'll send you my master playlist. It's just whenever I find a song I think is good, I put it on there.
All right, cool. So what do you have for me? What do you want to know?
I was going to ask you, what's on your heavy music rotation right now? And I don't mean heavy like the genre. I mean, what are you playing a lot right now? For me, it's Rammstein's Radio and The Hunchback of Notre Dame Out There.
All right, hold on. I'm literally going to pull up my Spotify for this because what do I have here? I've been listening to a lot of Injury Reserve. They're a hip-hop trio out of Arizona. Neat sort of noisy stuff. I found this band Wolftooth that does sort of upbeat proggy metal. I don't know how to describe it. It's a little
Wolftooth? Is that like Wolf Mother?
No, like it's like a little bit of prog rock, but mostly it's hard to describe. I feel like you might like it. What else have I been listening to?
I got a confession. Someone sent me a band today, and they're like, "I think you'll really like these guys," and I did not. They were not. I didn't like them at all, and I was like, "Why did this person think I was going to like this band?"
Oh, I've been jamming a lot of High on Fire into my playlists lately. Their last album was real good.
Electric Messiah.
Yeah,
I am not big on High on Fire, to be honest with you.
They're a little slower and sludgier than you usually like. I've been listening to a lot of Kiari Pamu Pamu. She's a Japanese pop artist.
Hey, I love Japanese music, especially baby metal and Garugamesh. So I like Japanese metal, I should say, but Japanese pop is freaking great, dude.
So she's kind of like a more, how can I say this without it being like somewhat demeaning? She's a very sort of intellectual take on like the J-pop formula. Like she was at one point positioned kind of like as Japan's answer to sort of a Lady Gaga, where like there was a lot more artistic control given to the actual musical artist rather than it kind of being a pop music as created by a label.
So Keshikoi Kawaii.
I don't know what that means.
I said intelligent, cute.
Okay. Yeah, she's interesting. She's done some neat stuff, and her music videos are actually really cool. Lots of neat visuals. And the new album from Kevin Abstract. He's a rapper, and he does reasonably emotional music that I enjoy. And as always, just a pile of Death Grips albums.
I don't know if we talk about this enough, but Mike has 2 Death Grips tattoos on his knees. Below his knees, they say "Stay Noited" in scene footage, which I understand are Death Grips lyrics.
Yeah. Don't make bad decisions when you're in college, kids.
Or do, and live to regret them. My girlfriend really likes a band called Caro Caro Bonito, which I think has a Japanese singer.
I think I've heard of them recently, and I forget what the context was, but
they have a song called Flamingo that everyone loves.
Yeah, my musical tastes right now have been largely like a lot of the more experimental end of hip hop and sort of weird upbeat metal stuff, and then just sort of old standards that I know I'm gonna like.
You want to talk about upbeat metal? I went through a huge power metal phase when I was in high school. My metal trajectory was Pantera's Greatest Hits and Rammstein Sehnsucht, which were both given to me by my cousin. I also started listening to Skindred around that time. And then I sort of evolved from there. I got into like KMFDM. I got into a bunch of New Deutsch Hart, Rammstein, KMFDM, Megahertz, Oomph, all that stuff. Then I listened to Guar for the first time, and I actually did not like them. I thought I was like, wow, this is awful. But then they really grew on me, so now I'm a huge Guar fan. And then yeah, sort of from there, I would basically go to Wikipedia, look up a genre I was interested in, and then Google all the bands from that genre and like steal their music and then listen to it and like figure out what I liked.
Yikes.
This was before Spotify. This was before streaming was really a thing. So it was harder. This was before even YouTube was really a thing. So it was a lot harder for you to find new music.
It was the era before it was easier to pay $5 a month than like pirate stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was pirating like discographies, worth like gigabytes and gigabytes of music, trying to figure out what I liked. I listen to most of those bands still now.
All right, yeah, it's interesting, the sort of evolution over time of musical tastes. But
well, I could talk about music a lot. I love music.
All right. I've got one question on here that is actually Magic related. And I want to know, do you think that Magic as a whole is in a better place than it was 3 years ago when we started this podcast?
Magic as a game, yes.
Okay. I hear a but in there.
No but. I think that Wizards finally intelligently moving into a digital market, making a real effort to embrace many different types of people. You know, Magic Wizards doesn't want it to be a boys club. They've said that several times. That's great. Having someone like Autumn on the not pro tour is really, really good. I think that Magic is more accessible than ever to more people than ever. And if you measure a game by how many people are playing it, which is certainly a metric, and how enjoyable it is for those people and how accessible it is for those people, I think Magic is in a much better place as a game than it was 3 years ago. And sure, there is pain. The reserve list certainly stinks. Moto dying stinks if you were really invested in that platform. But change is hard. Growth is hard. But I think that Wizards has a pretty bad track record. But I think in the last 3 years they've really looked inside themselves and said, what do we want this game to be? And I think they've decided they want it to be accessible and played by a lot of people. And I think that they're succeeding at that. So I think the game is better.
Yeah, I think on the whole I agree. I think like they've made some good decisions. They've also made some bad decisions. Like
yeah.
Like I think this period of experimentation has been good overall for the game. Like for every time, like, you know, we have people screaming about like, oh, you know, like Mythic Edition is just like a money grab. It's like, yeah, like sure, it might not be for you. Also,
welcome to Magic. Like, I hate that argument. Everything Wizards does is a money grab. They literally print money.
They're a company. That's the point.
They're a company with shareholders.
Yeah, I think I agree on the whole. Like, there are certainly like growing pains in this period, but having just come off like the pre-release weekend for War of the Spark, that set felt like a breath of fresh air. Like
War of the Spark is the hypest thing to happen to Magic in a long time, from power level, from a story standpoint, just like everything they hit the nail on the head. In fact, we're going to be doing a Misplaced show. That's my Magic-based improv group. For those of you who don't know that about me, we're doing War of the Spark, and Aaron Rubin is extremely hyped that there's going to be a Planeswalker in the pack, because we're basically going to say who has the Planeswalker. That's going to be our main character. So we're extremely excited to be doing that show this weekend, and War of the Spark made that possible.
Yeah, I think this is one of the big resounding successes they've had in like the past 3 years, is this set in particular, and I'm hopeful for the future. It's a good sign of things to come.
Yeah. All right. Is it my turn?
It is.
All right, Mike, tell me about your early days as a grind edge Doom Lord.
Oh man. Well, so do you want me to talk about the time I lived in like a terrible punk house with like 6 other people, even though it was zoned for like 4 occupants?
Yes, Mike. This is exactly the type of content me and I think our listeners are looking for here. Is your days as a that's actually what I wrote, grind edge Doom Lord. I'm not sure if that's the term for what you were. Maybe you were more of a crust punk or a shoegaze black metal enthusiast.
So when I was in college, I was a lot just generally dirtier of a human being. Just not generally as pleasant. I don't know how my wife fell in love with me, but
were you a crusty?
Yeah, I had like huge like dreadlocks down to like my waist, and the whole thing to unpack there. But the last place I lived in college, it was, as I said, it was like there were 6 people living in a space that was legally zoned for 4. It was a tiny little house. We had the first floor. There were people upstairs, and we had the basement. And I remember within a week of me moving in, the sewer main in the basement broke. And,
Crust punk.
And it did get cleaned up, but boy howdy, let me tell you, that was not pleasant. But like, it was just a bunch of us hanging out. A bunch of us got into like building synthesizers and guitar pedals. Like, we'd stay up all night, like just doing stuff in the basement, like craft stuff and like building electronics. So yes, and there was at one point, I don't think it's on YouTube anymore, there was a video of me performing at a show. We opened for a couple of like reasonably big bands. But yeah, it was
Casualties. Who?
We opened for Canadian grind band Six Brew Bantha, which is a very
great
good name.
Six Brew Bantha. That's a great name. Bantha, like Star Wars Bantha.
Oh yeah, like big old nerds.
I love it.
Turns out metalheads mostly big nerds, but yeah,
dude. I was gonna say, an artist for Warhammer 40K did a Gore album cover, so I get it.
Oh yeah, and like Bolt Thrower exists. Like Bolt Thrower is literally just like metal with like
40K metal.
Yeah, but yeah, like I. It was mainly me, but dirtier and with more hair on top of my head, and a lot more time for like creative output. So, I'll dig up some pictures and send them to you. But yeah, I met my wife while I was like, just, I think probably the worst looking I've ever been. So, you too can find love. But yeah,
hey, Bono, am I right?
There's a lot of individual stories that I won't get into here, but yeah, interesting times.
All right. Cool.
All right. I want to ask you, and this is the chance for you to air a reasonably spicy take. What is the one thing that everyone you know is like super into and you just can't find it within yourself to care about?
Oh my God. I was talking about this earlier today. It is superhero movies.
Yeah? You're just not with it?
I just don't care. I Googled in-game spoilers so that people wouldn't feel bad about talking about it around me, because I'm just not going to see that movie. I just don't care.
Like just across the board, like no, not just no Marvel, no Batman, none of it.
Well, so I it's not that I don't enjoy the movies. Like, I liked Lego Batman quite a bit. I like the Christian Bale Batman movies. I like the Tim Burton Batman movies. I like Batman basically, but like, there's just all this hype around like Avengers and Marvel Cinematic Universe and Marvel. My girlfriend's all into like the Marvel TV universe and the CW universe and the movies and the comic books and I just don't care. I mean, sure, there's things I care about, like Game of Thrones, for example. I really like Game of Thrones, and I do care about spoilers there. But I mean, I've seen Iron Man. I've seen the the superhero movies that are like sparked sort of the gold rush. But I enjoyed them, but I just don't care. I haven't seen all of them. I actually don't read comic books at all, which surprises a lot of people.
It's really funny because the one example you gave, Game of Thrones, is one of the things that I just cannot bring myself to care about anymore.
And I understand. I actually think you would like it quite a bit as sort of like a mature bit of fantasy storytelling. It's really, really good. I think the show has jumped the shark a little, and I am very unsatisfied with the most recent episode. The new episode will be out by the time this episode. No, you're gonna post this like tonight, right? So never mind. I don't know. Game of Thrones spoilers are weird. People really care about them, so I won't talk about it. But I was very unsatisfied with season 8, episode 3. Let me just say that. I felt like it did not really have the impact I was looking for out of the show.
I've seen the Twitter fury about it. People who are pretty big fans of the show do not seem dreadfully happy with it. So
here's the thing, though. When Game of Thrones goes away, I'm not gonna be super sad. I'll probably rewatch it at some point. But I do care about spoilers. I do care about Game of Thrones. I care about Survivor, but no one really cares about Survivor except me and a few people at work.
I was gonna say that's the one thing that I've known about you forever that I've never been able to comprehend. Like,
Survivor is awesome, dude.
I know that you think that. I just don't see it.
Look, I don't see you very often, Mike, but we need to watch a season of Survivor together somehow. And I think that I don't want you to think of it as a reality TV show. I want you to think of it from like a game perspective, because that's why it's fun. When you think about it as a game, which is what it ultimately is, and that the people in the game are really just pieces in the game. Sure, they're people. I'm not trying to belittle their humanity, but when you think of it as a game and everyone is a piece and everyone has a certain number of moves, then the game gets really exciting.
See, I understand like the treatment of most reality television shows are they're big games, and I can't. I don't know why it's Survivor in particular for you. That's the thing. Like, I know it's like one of the first big reality shows, but I don't know. It's just not one that ever like I never got the hook to like get me to watch an episode of it.
So not all Survivor seasons are created equal. You really got to start with a good season. Otherwise, I think it can sort of spoil the show for you. Because sometimes the season is just like, wow, this is extremely one-sided and the people I don't like are winning. Why does anyone watch this trash? But if you watch like season 8, season 13, Pearl Islands and Cook Islands respectively, and you see some of like the masterful stratagems people pull off, the underdog victories, the highs, the lows, then it's like, wow, this is super duper exciting. So I think you just need to watch the right season and have someone who's excited to watch it with you.
All right, maybe one of these days you'll convince me to do this.
Yeah. So, but Game of Thrones, that you should watch Game of Thrones. It's just really good. It's just a really good piece of storytelling.
I saw like the first, I want to say like 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, and there was a certain point where I was just like,
well,
there's just too much going on.
You saw the best 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, so don't worry then.
all right. There we go. We're good again.
About season 5 is when it starts shifting pretty radically tonally. But I think the first 3-4 seasons are really the best 3-4 seasons.
All right.
The best seasons, I mean.
All right. What do you have for me as a query?
Mine aren't really that good. What are some early creative influences that led you to become a graphic artist?
I mean, I don't really do graphic art that much anymore.
Well, but this is a question from last year, so.
Oh yeah, just really showing them how the sausage is made. So I do actually have an answer for that though, as to why I went to school for graphic design. So growing up, my aunt Elaine worked at the graphic design studio Pentagram, which, for any of our listeners out there who are not big design nerds, was a huge influential force in design in the 80s through 90s. One of the principals of the company is Paul Scher, is probably best known for designing stuff like the Citibank logo. It's a
pretty good logo.
It's a story that there was like a TED talk she gave about it, about like how she came up with this idea in the first meeting with Citibank in like 10 minutes and doodled it on a napkin, and that's it. Like that's about the depth of that story. And like obviously there were iterations after that to figure out font choices and all that and like exact specifications for things, but my aunt Elaine worked there in, I believe, the 80s, and by the mid 90s she was teaching at Pratt, which is a graphic design arts oriented school. So despite the fact that I was raised by a pair of engineers, I had an art influence in my early life, and wound up going into graphic design because graphic design is the most engineering-ish of the arts, because it is very much the design process mirrors the engineering process pretty closely in terms of starting with ideas and concepts and iterating upon them and coming back in sort of the cyclical cycle until you reach a final result that you're happy with. So it was something that kind of made sense to me from an intellectual standpoint, having grown up surrounded by engineers and science people. But there you go. That's my big story about why I got a bachelor's degree that I don't use anymore.
Math. It's okay, Mike. My bachelor's degree is in theater.
All right, I have a question that like dovetails into this nicely. If you were given the offer of good salary, good benefits, any job in the world, what would you want it to be?
Oh my God. Here's the thing you have to know about me.
Yeah.
I actually don't like working. A lot of people get a lot of joy and fulfillment and sense of belonging from work. That's just American society, right? I don't. I want to be like a wealthy landowner and just lease property to people and collect money passively. Or better yet, I'll get an inheritance.
So you want to be a parasite. Got it.
Well, yeah. See, that's exactly the kind of mentality I'm talking about, though. If you're not producing something, you must somehow not have any worth yourself, and I just disagree with that.
I don't think that's the point I'm trying to make here, but I see where you're coming from. Yes, I don't think that like everyone has to produce something in order for them to be valued to society.
I would like to generate passive income and spend my time pursuing hobbies. This podcast, Dungeons and Dragons, platting all my PlayStation trophies, doing improv. I would really devote my time more to hobbies, more to creative hobbies than anything else. If I had to pick like a job, like I actually have to go to work and do something, because I didn't really answer your question. I kind of copped out a little there. That's so hard. Nothing truly. I mean, I really like my job right now, and I do have good salary and good benefits. My job right now is essentially corralling people and solving problems. Sometimes I'm more effective. Some days I'm more effective at it than others. But I guess my ideal job doesn't really matter where I'm working so much as who I'm doing it with.
All right. So
like
something in like a project manager role with people you can tolerate.
Well, I love my team right now. I would say I do more than tolerate them. I'm pretty good friends with a lot of people on my company and on my team. So I guess that's sort of the perfect environment for me.
All right. That's a solid answer. I can accept that.
Yeah, Mike, I already found the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and just wow, what now?
All right.
All right, Mike, I got a good one for you. You're walking down the street with Georgie, maybe. Look around you. Maybe there's a car, a bush, a bird. I've been on your street. It's actually a pretty nice street. Someone put their garbage out again too early. What makes you think of me on that street?
What makes me think of you?
Yeah, when you're just going about your day, you see something, you think, oh, Adrian would like that. What makes you think of me?
Actually, I do have an answer for this, and it's technically at the end of the street.
Oh, that's funny.
Every single time. So at the end of my street, there is a little gas station with like a convenience store.
It was going to be the convenience store.
Every single time I'm in there, they have a box right near the entrance, which has been moved there, of flaming hot Takis. And every single time I see that, like, there's a little bit of my brain that just goes, oh yeah, Adrian. Every single time.
For what it's worth, listeners, I do not like Takis. I like the song Hot Cheetos and Takis.
I know, but it's just like, I think you're the only person I've ever had a conversation with about that snack food.
Oh, well, I'm actually kind of surprised they sell it in Boston. I think of that as like a very Mexican snack, and so it makes a lot of sense they sell it here.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you'd see in every single place, but the convenience shop in the gas station at the end of my street does sell them, and they're right there, and they've got that big purple box full of the purple packages. and every single time my brain just like pings for a split second. It's just like Adrian.
I love it.
So there you go. I did have an answer for your very, very convoluted question.
I love it.
All right. I've got one for you. What was your favorite piece of media in the past year? And I'm willing to accept any type of media, just some sort of creative output that you engaged with.
Like I produced or just engaged with?
Engaged with, like a movie you saw, an album you listened to, a video game you played, any of that.
Gotcha. Wow, that is extremely difficult because I've done a lot of quality media engagement over the last year. I can think of two. I'll tell you two.
All right.
The first one I'll get out of the way because it's a lot less nuanced. Ghosts Prequel might be some of the best album I've just like ever listened to. That album is so good. I've played it so many times. I know that entire album like the back of my hand. It's just so good. As far as like interactive media, I think Persona 5 might be one of the greatest video games I've ever played. Amazing character design, amazing artwork, amazing story, very touching. The music is awesome. The game itself is good. It's just like a good game, even if it didn't have all these other elements. Just like it's just one of those pieces of media, like you said, which like everything is just in like the right place. So much care, so much handiwork went into making that game, and it shines in like every aspect of it. How much thought and attention to detail went into creating that game. And then enjoying it and sort of discovering all these little nuances made that game extremely enjoyable when you think, oh, they thought to do that. That's pretty cool, actually. Or, oh, that music is so good. The music is really good, by the way. So, yeah, I would say between those two, probably Persona 5 a little bit more.
That's the one about the anime high schoolers, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, Mike. It's the one about the anime high schoolers. Thank you very much.
Look, man, you know me. I don't play many video games. I played a single video game in the past year.
What was it?
That was Dead Cells.
Yeah.
I'm a big sucker for roguelikes, and I'm a big sucker for Metroidvania style games. So when someone was like, oh yeah, by the way, there's this game that came out. It's like got this kind of retro graphic style, and it's a Metroidvania roguelike. I was just like, all right, cool, sold. Like,
so I like roguelikes. I do not. I've actually played Rogue. It's not very fun in 2019. I do not like Metroidvania games.
Oh man, I love I think the big thing with the Metroidvania is if it's got good atmosphere, it works, and if it doesn't, it just becomes plotting. Like
yeah.
Like the thing that I think Dead Cells did so successfully is the fact that like it's a roguelike, but it has ways to generate like these sort of secrets where like there'll be like a wall that you can actually like walk through, and it really encourages you to, at least on your first 100 odd playthroughs, to like explore every nook and cranny of the entire stage.
Is it procedurally generated?
It is procedurally generated. It definitely has like sort of clusters of shapes that it pulls from. Like you'll see areas that you've been in before but arranged differently. Like you'll recognize structures of like rooms next to one another. But I think like the joy of exploring things is really neat, and it helps that it has just such a crisp combat system. Like it just feels really good, and it borrows from both Dead Cells and Bloodborne, neither of which I've played because I'm terrible at 3D video games, but I do like a very like punishing style of game.
That's so funny. A lot of people like Bloodborne, Dark Souls, people love those games. I do not like games that punish me that much. And that's funny because I just said I like roguelikes, which is true. I'm actually playing through one right now, Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, everybody, Final Fantasy. But I don't like games that force me to learn specific patterns or die repeatedly.
So I think there's something that's like really satisfying about like this learning curve of at the beginning you don't understand how to deal with these patterns.
Right, and I think that's where people like them. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like there's like a level of like reward where after you figure out the secret, you can now pass this part of the game. And
Right.
and like the original like promotional campaign for Dead Cells even went with the tagline like I think it's like try, die, try again or something like that, where like it fully acknowledges like, hey, you're not going to beat this on the first pass. You're just not. And
yeah, I think that appeals to people. I just don't think it appeals to me.
yeah, and I totally get that. Again, I have played a single video game this year, and that was it. Like,
That was the one.
Like it. I very much understand that it's not for everyone, but that in particular, that game just hit so many of the things that I like in a video game that I can check that on Steam, can't I? How many hours I've sunk into this thing? Oh
Yeah.
boy. 100 hours. There we go.
Wow, that's actually quite a bit for a casual.
Yeah, like this is 100 hours of like maybe doing like a run or two every week. It's I don't know. It's one of those games where like it just did all the things I wanted to do with a video game and just clicked for me.
That's cool.
All right. What do you have for me?
Oh, what would your last meal be?
What would my last meal be?
Yeah, you're on. Picture this, Mike. You're rooming up with John Coffey and John Wayne Gacy and John Wayne. You're walking down the Green Mile to your last meal. Old Sparky's at the end. What are you gonna ask for? John Wayne Gacy asked for like a billion things. By the way, hold on, I can look it up while you tell me.
I mean, so last meal, probably.
Here we go. I'll tell you. 12 fried shrimp, a bucket of original KFC fried chicken, French fries, and a pound of strawberries.
A pound of strawberries.
Yeah. All right. Go on. What is yours?
Oh man, this is real tricky because I really love food. You've seen me in person, Adrian. I'm not, a petite man.
I just sent you a picture of his last meal.
Oh God, why is it just in a tray? That's so upsetting to me for some reason.
Okay.
The presentation.
Yeah. You're not a small guy.
No. I like me a good meal.
You're a big boy.
It's probably. You know what? It is. Just a platter of Mexican food. No. I know exactly what it is. It's the one meal that I love more than anything else in the world is a green chili enchilada with chicken, like New Mexican style, with all the fixings and a sopapilla afterwards. Like this is a very specific thing that is comforting.
That's interesting. I immediately when you said like green chili, I was like, he's not even talking about Texas Mexican food. He's talking about like freaking New Mexico. I knew immediately.
New Mexico's food is admittedly like weird in the assorted Mexican diaspora food categories because it is like the first time I've told you this story. The first day I was in Texas when I moved there, I ordered an enchilada at some place that was next to the La Quinta we were staying in. And I got back to the hotel, opened up the takeout package, looked at what I had received, and had no idea how that was an enchilada.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting how Mexican food in the United States is very different because Tex-Mex, I grew up eating tons of Tex-Mex, but Tex-Mex is not like Mexican food.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like I wouldn't eat Mexican food where you live. It'd be awful.
No.
It'd be freaking...
There's one place here that does really good like Mexican food that is actually just a family from Mexico who moved here to make food.
But that being said, for the southwestern states, New Mexico, and for California, I know that the Mexican food there is very different, but I
Yes.
still give it the credit it is due, because even though it is different, it is still a version of Mexican food, much like how Tex-Mex is a version of Mexican food. So I don't think they're worse. I just think they're different.
So for me, it's just 100% like that is the first thing I eat when I get off the plane to go visit my family in New Mexico. I find it varies from trip to trip, but I figure out somewhere we can go where I can get an enchilada with green chili on it, and I have the best time I have in restaurants in just like little places in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. So that, like, going to death row, gonna die, that's the last meal. That's got to be it.
And your crime was liking doom metal too much.
Yeah, just too slow to live.
Too slow to live, too rare to die.
All right, I have one more question for you.
All right,
because
fire away.
I went for slightly more like large picture questions. What is something about you that you wish more people knew about you?
That is a big one to chew on. So bear with me for 1 second while I think about that. I wish people knew how much I cared.
Knew how much you cared, just in general?
Yeah, I actually care about people a lot of people a lot, but I'm like a joker, you know? And although I think that I'm pretty emotionally mature, emotionally intelligent, I think I'm a pretty genuine person. I think some people have a hard time really processing that. And so I wish I could make them understand that. That's kind of a weird way of putting it.
No, I think I understand what you're getting at here. So just that you care a whole lot.
Yeah, and you know, just because I'm making a joke doesn't mean I don't care.
Yeah, I definitely understand that, because we're both kind of jokey people, regardless of what our dynamic is on this show. Like, neither of us are dreadfully serious in our day-to-day life, but we do at the end of the day care about the people we care about quite a bit. All right, do we have anything else we want to talk about this evening, or you ready to take us out of the show?
I'll take us out of the show. I gotta find a patron real fast though. Well, everyone, it's been real as I scroll to the bottom. Thanks for joining us today. This podcast is brought to us for our patrons, especially, I just had it too, Perkins M. Thank you. You've been a listener for a very long time. Thank you. Please consider supporting us if you like the show. Check below this video or the description of this podcast for details on where to find us. We'd like to remind you, if you listen to this on a platform with reviews, they're always appreciated as they boost our visibility. If you've got a deck list or an idea for a topic, you can contact us either via our website or you can email us directly at colorcommentary@gmail.com. So thanks to my LGS Pat's Games, my LGS JP Comics, and of course L. You can find our theme song Quantitative and other great tracks over at soundcloud.net/ELLELLELL. Till next week, this is Adrian and Mike signing off for Color Commentary.